So, it's happened. The self-assessment deadline has passed and you've missed it. That sudden cold drop in your stomach, that frantic feeling of, what on earth happens now? Yeah, that's incredibly common. But before you start spiraling, just take a deep breath. You've missed the deadline, but you haven't run out of options. We're going to walk you through exactly what to do step by step.
That sinking feeling is absolutely real, and trust me, you are not the first person to feel it. Every single year, thousands of people in the UK find themselves in this exact spot. But you know, the worst thing you can do right now is bury your head in the sand. Acting fast is your best defense. So, where do we start?
Well, to help you navigate this whole situation, we've teamed up with the experts at My Tax Accountant to bring you this clear, no-nonsense guide. They deal with this stuff day in, day out, and they know the exact steps you need to take to get back on track and, minimize the damage.
We've broken it all down into a simple 6-part plan. First up, we'll tackle that immediate penalty. Then, we'll look at just how quickly those costs can ramp up if you don't act. But don't worry, we'll then get straight into the solutions. We'll explore what HMRC calls a reasonable excuse, how to appeal, and what your options are if you can't pay. And finally, we'll put a plan in place to make sure you are never in this position again.
Okay, Section 1, the immediate fallout. What happens in that very first minute, that very first hour after the deadline is passed? Let's break down the first thing you're going to face.
The very first thing that happens is this: an automatic, no questions asked, £100 penalty. HMRC issues this the second the clock ticks past midnight on the 31st of January. It doesn't matter if you're 1 minute late or 1 day late, the fine is exactly the same. It's a bit of a blunt instrument, but hey, it's the first one they use.
Now, here's a pro tip that catches so many people out every single year. This £100 fine is for late filing, not late payment, and that is a really crucial distinction. It means you get the fine even if you don't actually owe any tax. You could even be due a refund from HMRC. Just failing to get that form submitted on time is what triggers it.
Okay, so what should you do right this second? 3 critical things. 1. File that overdue tax return. Do it now. Don't put it off another day because every single day you wait can make things worse. 2. Pay any tax you owe as soon as you possibly can. That stops the interest from piling up. And 3, if you can't pay it all at once, you need to contact HMRC. Believe me, being proactive and talking to them is always a better strategy than hiding and hoping they'll just forget about you. They won't.
But that initial £100? That's just the start. Think of it as the first step on a very, very expensive ladder. Inaction is your biggest enemy now, because these penalties are designed to escalate, and fast. Let's have a look at the timeline.
Right, as you can see, after just 3 months, things get serious. HMRC starts charging a daily penalty of £10 for up to 90 days. That's a potential extra 900 quid right there. If you wait 6 months, they add another penalty on top, £300 or 5% of the tax you owe, whichever one is higher. And if you're still late after a full year, they hit you with that 5% or £300 penalty all over again. You can see how this spirals, right?
Now, I know these percentages and numbers can feel a bit abstract. So to make this crystal clear, let's look at a real-world example. Stay with me, because seeing how this adds up for someone just like you is, well, it's pretty powerful.
So, meet Tom. He's a freelance designer based in London. He owes £7,000 in tax, but he misses the deadline. Instantly, that £100 fine takes his bill to £7,100. By May, after the daily fines kick in, he's at £8,000. By August, that 5% penalty adds another 350 quid. A year late, that's another 350. And this doesn't even include the separate late payment penalties and daily interest. So just by filing late and not sorting it, Tom's initial £7,000 bill has ballooned to over £9,400. That's almost $2,500 in penalties and interests alone. Ouch.
And speaking of interests, here's the other sting in the tail. On top of all those filing penalties we've just talked about, HMRC charges daily interest on any tax you haven't paid. For the 2025-26 tax year, that rate is a hefty 7.75%. It's a debt that grows every single day you don't pay it and is completely separate from the fines for not filing the form. It's basically the penalty on top of the penalties.
Okay, that was the bad news. So, let's talk about the good news. There can be a way out. If you had a genuine, legitimate reason for missing the deadline, you might be able to get those penalties canceled. This is what HMRC calls having a reasonable excuse.
So, what exactly counts as reasonable in HMRC's eyes? Well, they're pretty specific about this. A serious, unexpected illness that put you in hospital near the deadline? Yeah, that counts. The death of a close family member? Yes. A natural disaster like a fire or flood destroying your records? Also yes. But what they won't accept are the common excuses like, I just forgot, I didn't have the cash to pay my bill, or I found the system too confusing. And the one on this slide that catches so many people out is blaming your accountant. We'll come back to that one.
Right. If you believe you have one of those valid, reasonable excuses, then you absolutely should appeal. But you have to follow the process properly. Let's walk through how you actually make your case to HMRC. There are 4 key steps, and step 1 is the big one. It's totally non-negotiable. You have to file your overdue tax return before you appeal. HMRC won't even look at your case until that return is in. Second, you've got a tight window. You must appeal within 30 days of the date on your penalty notice. Third, you've got to get the appeal in. The fastest way is through your online HMRC account, but you can also use a paper form called the SA-370. And finally, be specific. Give them dates, details, and any proof you have, like a doctor's note or hospital records, to back up what you're saying.
Now, let's circle back to that point about the accountant. Take the case of Mark, a freelancer who hired an accountant. The accountant messed up and missed the deadline. Mark appealed, blaming the accountant, but HMRC rejected it flat out. Why? Because as this quote makes crystal clear, the legal responsibility for filing on time is yours, and yours alone. You hire an accountant for their help, sure, but the legal buck, that always stops with you.
Okay, let's tackle another huge source of stress. What if you filed the return, you know exactly what you owe, but you just don't have the money to pay it? Again, the absolute worst thing you can do is ignore it. You do have options.
HMRC's main option here is called a time-to-pay arrangement. This is basically a payment plan that you agree with them. It lets you clear your debt in manageable monthly chunks. You can usually apply for this online if your debt is under £30,000. The great thing is that once it's set up, it stops any further late payment penalties from being added. So while interest will still be added to the balance, you stop the bleeding from those extra fines.
So, once you've dealt with the immediate crisis, the final, most important step is to make damn sure you never find yourself in this stressful situation ever again. Let's switch our thinking from damage control to prevention.
All right, here's your prevention checklist for next year. First, set multiple reminders in your calendar, not just for January 31st, but months ahead of time. Second, keep your records organized all year long, not in some last-minute shoebox panic. Third, and this is a great tip, did you know you can actually file your tax return anytime after the tax year ends on April 6th? Filing in May or June gives you total peace of mind and 8 whole months to plan for the payment. And finally, if your situation changes and you don't need to file a return anymore, you must tell HMRC, otherwise they'll just keep expecting one.
Look, let's be honest. Managing self-assessment tax can be really complex and genuinely stressful, especially when things go wrong. But the most important thing to take away from all of this is that you do not have to try and figure it all out by yourself.
So, whether you need urgent help appealing a penalty, you want someone to negotiate a time-to-pay plan for you, or you just want to guarantee this never happens again, getting professional help is the smartest move you can make. The team at My Tax Accountant are absolute experts in this. You can get them directly on WhatsApp or by phone at 07854 255 375, or just drop them an email at info@mytaxaccountant.co.uk. And for more helpful guides just like this one, make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. You now have the playbook. You know what to do if you're in this mess, and more importantly, you know how to stop it from happening again. The only real question is, are you ready to take control and make this the last time you ever have to worry about a tax deadline?